Hello, ladies and gentlemen, sunshines and chuffing sweethearts, and welcome back to another instalment, another episode. Chuffing Big Al, chuffing Quickshots. Now stick around because you're in for a bloody treat. Now, if you enjoyed the last bloody episode, ladies and chuffing sunshines and gentlemen, you're in for a bloody treat because we've upped the chuffing ante, you know what I mean? The last one, glass of water with Big Al. We've upped the ante now. We're into chuffing big time, into the big league, with the big boys, the big players. A chuffing glass of milk with Big Al. You heard it here first, exclusive. Let's have a little quick bloody slur before we get into chuffing dialogue and patching all that chuffing shite. Oh, it's bloody delicious. That definitely tastes to me that it's come out of the chuffing mammalian chuffing tits. It does. It's beautiful. Did a little bit of research on milk. And apparently it has just about all the hydration factors that a glass of water's got. So if you're in chuffing desert, on back of a chuffing camel somewhere, and you're getting thirsty, you got no bloody milk, but you know, you squeeze a bit of chuffing milk out at camel or something, you'll survive, you'll be alright. Now, so, as you can tell by me drinking the chuffing water and then this time the chuffing milk, I'm still on the wagon. Last time I had anything to drink of any kind of alcoholic persuasion whatsoever was at the in-laws barbecue on chuffing Easter Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8th day today, ladies and gentlemen. 8th day on the wagon. How do I feel? Honestly, I feel chuffing shite. I feel chuffing rubbish, but it's got nothing to do with the lack of alcohol in my system. Like I say, my body will be loving that. My internal chuffing organs will be singing a chuffing symphony, a chuffing delight in response to the beautiful way in which I'm chuffing treated and with chuffing reverence. No, it's got more to do with, I'm on another one of those another chuffing 11 stretch at work, and it's actually coincides with the kind of coming away from the alcohol. This is my 8th day today at work. I've got 11 to do, then I've got a bit of chuffing time. These bloody committed shifts, these contractual bloody overtime shifts and all that bloody shenanigans. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like washing my clothes and stuff like that, I've washed my work uniform once, but at one point I had the same pair of chuffing skid stain underpants on for chuffing 4 days. Why not? Why not? I'm only going to work, can't I? Normal way, take them off. Next day, turn them around backwards. Next day, turn them around inside out, normal way. Next day, take them off inside out, backwards. And then you've got to change them. So you get 4 days, 4 good quality days out of chuffing pair of chuffing skid stain wangs. You heard it here bloody first, ladies and gentlemen. Right, talking about chuffing work and working 11 stretches and stuff like this. It happens every year. I'm not going to tell you where I chuffing work or anything like that. I'm not going to keep that chuffing trade secret. You know I work in logistics, warehouse and all that kind of stuff. You know that. But basically every year we have these bloody pay negotiations. Now I've been at this same place for approximately about chuffing 20 years. A long time. When I first started working there, ladies and gentlemen, we used to have a drink break, normal half-an-hour break paid, and another drink break. Pay negotiations came along, took a drink break off of us, just so they could get the pay rise. Next year, another pay negotiation came along, took us other chuffing drink break off of us. So then we were down to no drink breaks and just this 30 minutes paid out of an 8-hour chuffing shift. And I'm not saying the conditions are horrendous, but they're not great either. So it was a bad deal. And then they basically had nothing else to take off of us. So they started giving us additional. And then that's when we got these 4 contractual chuffing overtime shifts that we've got to do, which quite often are on Saturdays. So you end up working 11 days straight. Or it's on your Friday when you'd usually be off, when you've only had 1 day off the week before. So it's tiring. And it's not good for your family life. No such problem too much with that, but the thing I'm kind of rattles me, the thing that makes me chuffing a little bit angry, is basically the pay negotiations, the way I see it, is the wages are just going up with the cost of living. They're just going up with inflation. It's not as if we're getting a good deal. So they spend about 7-8 months arguing and bloody wrangling and negotiating and bloody falling out and belching and chuffing farting in these chuffing meetings to basically get a deal where you get back pay of maybe 200 quid, £300. And then by just, so you're temporarily a little bit better off. Then within a couple of months, because of what the Bank of England does and what the government does and what have you, you're back on basically just over minimum wage again. So what I'm saying, that the problem I've got is we've lost 2 drink breaks and we've got these additional hours that we've got to do, these contractual hours that we've got to do, yet we're still just hovering just above minimum wage. They've got to give us these pay rises. By law, they've got to give. So why are we giving so much away? And why are we taking on additional to get something that we must have? But that's just my fault. Now, the other thing I'd like to say is that when we were talking about bloody IMF, 70 being the new 50 and all this kind of stuff, which we basically decided between us, or I decided with chuffing gubbins. 70 will always be 70 and 50 will always be 50. The way I'm going to look at it now is more wrinkles than I used to have, grey beard, thinner barnet than I used to have, more physical pains than I used to have. But the way I'm going to really judge it, seriously, is by my chuffing knackers. And by the air, because I'm still a chuffing brunette down there at the minute. I'm still a brunette. Talked to this guy at work years ago called Chuffing Joe. And he run about here, what chuffing trim in his chuffing personal, chuffing private bloody bush one day in chuffing bathtub. And he said the reason he'd done it is because he'd dropped his trousers and he caught a glimpse of it in chuffing mirror. And he says because it were grey and it were long, he says, I've got to be honest, he says it looked like chuffing Gandalf's face. So that is the way I'm going to judge it. When my knackers, when my chuffing sweetmeats, my personal chuffing private chuffing bush starts to look like chuffing Gandalf's face or bloody Saramang, that's when I know I'm chuffing old. But until when I'm still a chuffing brunette round the old cobblers, I'm still chuffing young, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I mean? Last thing I like to say, a little bit philosophical, is I like to talk about a thing that I call the chuffing bowl of fruit. And when we get talking about chuffing all these different ideologies, people coming from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different colours, different creeds, different religions, Catholicism and Hinduism and all Christianity, all these different bloody faiths, colours and creeds, Muslims and everything. What I'm suggesting, and I know it to be true, is imagine, we talk about microcosm and macrocosm, macrocosm being a particular pattern or a particular way of being on a grandiose scale, and a microcosm being basically the same thing in a small scale. Imagine it like this. The ocean is made up of trillions and billions and zillions, quadzillions of chuffing water droplets. It's made out of all the same stuff. It's like one person is the microcosm and a crowd, a massive crowd is the macrocosm. So you understand what I'm saying? It's just lots more of the same thing. Infinite and finite. But how I like to see it is when you're looking at all these like kind of the different religions, the ideologies, the philosophies, all these different politics. Imagine it in the microcosm, on the small. Imagine everybody and everything is in this room. A room with just a floor, a ceiling, 4 walls. And in the middle of the room, there's a table. And in the middle of that table is a bowl of fruit. And on this bowl of fruit, there's bananas, there's apples, there's oranges, there's pears, there's plums, there's grapes, there's chuffing strawberries, there's coconuts, there's kiwis, there's all sorts of, all the different kinds of bloody fruit that you can imagine in this bowl. But this is where perspective comes in, dependent on where you're situated, where you're located in that room and from what angle you're looking at this bowl of fruit from. Somebody from over here might only be able to see bananas, apples and oranges. Somebody from over there might only be able to see grapes and plums and kiwis. Somebody from over here might only be able to see pineapples and coconuts and dragon fruit and stuff like this. But what I'm saying is, it's the same bowl of fruit. Everybody is having the same experience in the same place, but this perspective is just different. It's like even if you're talking about, not talking about kind of paganism or hermetics or anything like that, but just looking at kind of the concept of there being like one God. And some people say it's God, and some people say it's Allah. You look at all the kind of stories surrounding the Quran and the Bible, and all these other different faiths, a lot of the stories is the same. And they're the same because they're talking about the same thing, they're talking about the same deity. So that's what I'm saying. So when somebody says something and you don't agree with it, you think they're talking cobblers, they're probably not talking cobblers. They're just looking at that bowl of fruit from a different part of the room. Just food for thought. I don't even know what I'm chuffing talking about. I need to get back on the chuffing booze. It gets to stop doing less bloody philosophy and less bloody politics and get back to just being a crazy chuffing dickhead again. Because this stuff, man, it's making me talk chuffing crazy. But have a great day and a chuffing great life. And I'll see you next time I see you, probably on Friday. And we'll be doing a little chuffing whiskey tasting or something like that. Bloody moonshine or whiskey or something. I'll be chuffing back on it. So, hey, like I say, have a great day and a great life. Nice to have a bloody catch up. Always nice to have a catch up with you. Old subscribers, new subscribers, somebody who's just chuffing dropping in off another chuffing channel by a bloody accident. You know, I bet you're bloody glad you watched me talking about chuffing bowl of fruit. You know what I mean? Skid stain, chuffing wangers. That's the kind of chuffing shite you get on the big house show. So if you enjoyed it, bloody subscribe. There's plenty more of where that bloody came from. Later, sunshines and sweethearts.